Hey Eli,
What?
did you know that I have a pen that can write underwater?
Now?
It can write other words too.
That's a good one.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Engaged Family Gaming Podcast. This is episode 197, and I'm your host, Stephen Dutzman. As always, this week, I have two co-hosts with me. First, I am joined by Amanda Farrow, the Princess of Power and editor-in-chief of SuperParent.com and GameDaily.biz. Amanda, I have no idea why I stumbled over your last name there. That was so weird. I've said it maybe 1,000 times.
Ferrero, Farruff. I have heard
I
so
couldn't
many different
even-
versions of my last name.
Here's my problem.
Don't even worry about it.
It went like it didn't even start. Like my whole, I don't know.
It's like your mouth couldn't get around the word.
I couldn't. I was just so amazed by your presence and power. I had to pass a will save in order to utter your very name. Speaking of will saves, how about my Dungeons & Dragons party's cleric, or one half of him at least, Linda Roble, the managing editor of board games for Engaged Family Gaming. Linda, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Did John fill you in on what happened last night?
Nope, we haven't really had time.
So what happens, folks, is Linda and John are very busy people, and so they share a character in our Dungeons and Dragons campaign that we play with our children. And so sometimes one of
It's a solid play.
It's Wolfpack rules.
Smart.
Or freebirding, if you're a wrestling fan, which very few people, so if you are, you understand freebirding. So sometimes one of them will show up and will not have any idea what their character did or has been involved in. It's kind of funny. I'm just rolling with it. So it's cool that he didn't tell you that somehow our 10-year-old created a murder box. It's really funny. Did you know that if you are in a cave and the barracks with a whole bunch of like spellcasters is in a small room that is vaguely 15 to 20 feet wide. 20 feet wide is an important thing. Okay. No. Evan's is distracting me. He's trying to download an iPad game. So if a room is 20 feet wide, it doesn't matter how long it is if all the bad guys are trapped on the end without an exit and have to run through a giant radius of silence. Because if they're spellcasters, that means they can't, not only can they not cast spells, but they can't, if they scream for help or make noise, no one can hear them because it's stopped by the silence and the stone walls. My kids accidentally did that.
Wow.
It was harsh. They're very, very bad people, and this is just, it happens in Dungeons and Dragons. And a 10-year-old did this, which is very impressive. Silence is one heck of a spell. Anyway, that's Dungeons and Dragons Minute. So this week, we're talking about board games. Specifically, we're talking about the Boston Festival of Independent Games, of which Linda and I were both there. We were both the judges, and we actually presented the award for Best Family Game in Tabletop. If you want to see a video of it, you can go look at it. It is on all of our social medias. Actually, come to think of it, I didn't put it on Twitter yet, but I will now when we're done here. So,
Nice.
And so Amanda was not there. She was very busy on vacation.
I was at the Met. Yeah, I was at the Met with the wife.
Yeah, a much needed vacation.
Yeah.
Much needed, much deserved. And so we thought we would play a game. This is a game we've played before on the Engaged Family Gaming Podcast.
I love this game.
This is where Linda and I, or myself, whatever, we take turns selling the person who was either disinterested or just or uninvolved, or a combination thereof, of a specific event. We just sell you on the games that we played. So Linda and I have some stuff to talk about. And
I'm going to eat my gummy bears and I'm just going to get hype.
Exactly. This is literally what's going to happen. Amanda is going to eat gummy bears. Hopefully she brought enough to share. And
thank you.
Thanks. She shoved them into her webcam, but not into it enough to smear gummy bear stuff on the webcam itself.
No gummy bear schmutz.
These things are expensive. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, I guess the first thing to do before we talk about the games is to talk about BFIG itself. BFIG is it used to be just essentially a school club run independent game festival, and it started incredibly small. It is its 7th one so far. And it used to be at MIT in their in their athletic facility. Yes, MIT has athletic facilities. They have very large football players. We know that because the where we played abutted the football locker room. So it was a very interesting mix of people when there are people lining up to play board games and Dance Dance Revolution, and then like the football team comes in from practice. So they moved locations. Now it's at Harvard in their athletic complex. And it's essentially 2 shows kind of jammed into one. There's a tabletop showcase and a video game showcase. Now, the video game showcase is blessed with its location because Boston is kind of a big deal in the video game industry.
It is.
Historically, I mean, if you think about like Harmonix, which is responsible for pretty much all of the music genre, arguably, but yeah, they are. Also, Irrational Games was there when they were doing their thing, etc. So there's lots of stuff going on in Boston. Let me tell you, Amanda, when Linda and I were presenting our award, and they so they alternate video games and tabletop, okay? And so
This was amazing.
So like the first person that comes out is the head of the head of the Game Makers Guild. No big deal, that's cool. Local Game Makers Guild, admittedly, the Game Makers Guild in Boston, so I mean that's baller. And then we come out, we give out our prize. Who are we followed up with but one of the lead art directors on BioShock Infinite? And I'm like, excuse me? And it's like, oh, she's one of the lead art directors on BioShock Infinite and a mother of 4 and a yoga instructor. And Linda and I are like, how did we get on this?
We are vastly underqualified.
What are we doing here?
We belong here.
Wait, I'm not even done. Eventually, they got to one of the dudes who was responsible for Myst was there presenting an award. And meanwhile, I'm just some podunk podcaster. Now, I'm an awesome podunk podcaster, but I'm still not one of the creators of Myst.
I mean, it's fair.
I mean, yeah, like, I understand that you like to talk me up, and I appreciate your love and support. But there's nothing that any of us can do about that.
I'm so sorry.
So it was really funny, and that's just kind of the way that the video game stuff worked. Board game, it really is a tale of 2 shows. Linda, did you go into the video game hall like for a minute?
Not even once. Once I found the tabletop room, I didn't leave except to go to lunch.
That's fair. Lunch was amazing.
Lunch was fantastic.
I went to the bacon truck. Because literally there was the bacon truck.
There was. I did go to the bacon truck
on this whole BFIG thing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can come next time. I mean, you were on a pretty awesome vacation. I saw the steak that your wife ate. I would have eaten that. I had a Cuban with extra bacon, and one of the sides that you could get was just a bunch of bacon. So anyway, I definitely had to go to the doctor when I was done. Okay. So,
which is why I did not have that for lunch.
Video games. We'll talk about the video games that I played next week on Around the Horn, because realistically, there really weren't a lot of video games that were super appropriate for us. There were a lot of dating simulators and some other fairly dark RPGs that, including like the best of show, was called The Grist Mill.
Oh,
that was on the nose. Did it look cool? Yes. Are you probably going to want to play it, Amanda? Yeah, probably. Not really appropriate for us. I especially like that it won Best in Show and Best Student Game. That was my favorite part. But so we'll talk about video games later. But this week we're going to talk about the Tabletop Game Showcase, partially because Linda and I were judges. In fact, Evan was a judge with us. We judged 2 categories: Best Tabletop Game and or not Best Tabletop Game, Best Family Game tabletop, and Most Innovative.
Oh.
Most innovative. So, just to run down the games that we had to play for Best Family Game, And I guess that's where we should just start, right? We can just talk about those games.
Sure.
So why don't you start with Camp Pinetop, because you actually played a full game of that. I observed, so that an actual paying attendee could try the game.
Right. So Evan and I sat down with Ye Random event goer, and we played the demo was not quite a full game, but it was pretty close. I got a good flavor for it. This is a game from Talon Strike Studios, coming to Kickstarter this month. So we actually just got an email from them today too, so I got to follow up. So it is basically a scouting themed game. So think of Boy Scouts. Now I think they're just called Scouts. And it's that theme without being it's not their brand.
Okay.
So they have different ranks and they're all animals. But again, it doesn't line up exactly with true Scouts. And you have to achieve certain badges and you have to level them up. And basically you're meeting criteria to elevate your rank.
Okay.
And you're moving around on a board that you create with cards. And so every game is different on what the layout is. And you're just trying to gain these different skills as you move around. So it was super cute. Some of the special cards allowed you to mess with other people's location and, upset their plans a little bit, but it was really light, really fun. And I put up a photo of the game last night, and almost immediately had somebody asking for me to change the privacy settings because I put it on my personal Facebook to change the settings because they wanted to share it with their scout troop. So it was really, and the artwork on it is super cute. Just a really fun game. I think it took 2 turns to understand the entire game. So
well, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, to add some extra stuff, like the art on this one, so it's called Camp Pinetop. Artistic wise, this really felt like it was going to be in the Night at the Woods art, in that art style. Not exactly, but it looked like it would have. It was really not that far off. It was really cool. Our scout really liked it, and was already asking, were we going to back it on Kickstarter? Were we going to try and get our hands on this game? So yeah, that's Camp Pinetop. Ultimately, that's the one. I mean, let's pushing aside any kind of tension or anything. That's the one that won. We gave this one the Family Game Award.
Okay.
It's like a worker placement game, and I loved the theme, and the fact that Linda and Evan and random dude were able to play and pick it up quickly, was a really good sign. There's not a lot of games that play with mixed ages, and I was really impressed with that. So that's Camp Pinetop. So they emailed you. Are we going to be doing a Kickstarter of the week for them?
We are totally going to be doing that. I've got to pull that all. Literally, I was sitting waiting for. I just came from the open house for my now middle schooler, which was frightening. Just the fact that I was at the middle school for my child. And while I was waiting to start, I pulled up the email just to check and just saw that it was there, but was being the responsible parent and not actually doing much on email while I was sitting at, the open house.
I get it. You want to set a good example, being that you're a teacher. I get it. Okay.
Even though teachers are the worst at listening and following directions.
Yeah, I mean, that's the truth. That's the truth. Okay. Because you know everything. No, I'm just kidding. I really don't know. Okay. So that's Camp Pinetop. The next nominee for family game was this game called Rushmore.
Yes,
Let's Get Rocked. So that was the full name, Rushmore. Let's Get Rocked. Now, the first selling feature, and probably the only selling feature for this game, is that it was co-designed by a 7-year-old.
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. It's a dad and his son. The idea is it's a card. Like a set collection game where you are building the faces on Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
And so you're trying to build sets of 4, which turn into the heads. So there's hair, eyes, nose, mouth.
Okay.
Now, the problem with this, and I think really the only problem, is that the art was all done by the dad, who is not an artist, and he was looking to hire one. So this is one of those games that next year we will see it, and it will probably be a completely different game, because hopefully it will have really fun art.
And the art really will make or break this.
Yeah. So
because the hand, not artistic drawn, hand drawn art, it was not visually appealing at all. It was actually hard to focus and figure out what was an eye, what was a nose, what was a chin, because
one of the noses looked like a butt.
It really did. His art was really bad, and I can't say I would have done any better, but it was distracting because it was that bad. So we were trying to look beyond the art because it was a placeholder.
Sure.
And
the premise of the game was somewhat entertaining.
Somewhat entertaining. That's
somewhat entertaining.
Damning with faint praise. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
No, it's about like it. It definitely had some, had some more work to be done on it.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's a prototype.
It was an early stage.
Here's the real positive piece. It was a simple card set collection game where basically you're drawing 3 cards. And you have 3 cards. You draw up to a hand of 3 cards, and you take 1 card for yourself, put the other one in a collection in the middle, and then at the end, whoever is the last person gets to pick up that pile of 4 and create and start building faces in the middle for other people to mess around with, to like perhaps claim if they finish it. So there's actually a pretty decent depth of strategy. My only criticism of that is that he referred to it as a kiddie, and that's an old-timey, like an old-timey card game term that was just kind of off-putting to me. But I felt the strategy, and I appreciated it, because you don't want to complete the face, or you don't want to be the guy. It's like Connect 4, right? Like, you don't want to be the person that gets 3 if you can avoid it, because then the next person's just going to slam dunk it and get the free points. This is also one of those things where I think, because he had a big, strong history theme, like his whole booth had like pictures of Mount Rushmore and tour guide stuff. And I think, and I suggested to him when I left, is rather than historical Mount Rushmore, I think you should go for, like just funny and just lean into the absurdity. And have the artist draw characters that are legally distinct from other recognizable things. And then go with that. Because I think it would be much more funny to build Optimus Prime-ish and Mari-ish than...
That's fair.
...than random faces.
Okay.
At the end of the day, it was nominated for one of the best family games, and there were other titles that could have stood up to it. I think this has a lot of potential. This is one of those ones I can't wait to play it next year. Also,
Understood.
The guy was really nice. And that always helps.
I like nice humans.
It's good that he's a good fellow. So Linda, you want to talk about the third family game, since I can't talk about it without having a seizure of rage?
So the third one, it actually was the second time I played it. So the third one was Octochef. And I had played it at the Connecticut Festival of Independent Games, and it was nominated for a family game at Boston Festival of Independent Games. So the idea of this game is you are an octopus chef. So each player essentially is one of the arms of the octopus putting together the dishes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hear me out. So you can pass to the person next to you if you've got an ingredient that's needed.
Okay.
So the chef is trying to build sandwiches. So you need your ingredients. You have to build them somewhat in order. And you're trying to get all the ingredients. Of course, the ingredients are scattered about. So each player has a deck of ingredient cards.
And one person has the meat, and one person has the breads, and one person has the condiments, and then another person has the vegetables.
Okay.
And it's a cooperative game. Here's the thing. It's a cooperative game, so you're calling out, oh, I have bread. Who needs bread? And you can pass it if somebody needs it.
Oh, Steve, I can see why this game got under your skin, dude.
It's
I'm gonna get there.
simultaneous play.
All right. So
shall we put a pin in that discussion and talk about the other simultaneous play game?
Nope.
And then
you
got a plan?
We'll do it in a minute.
Okay.
So the way this game is supposed to be played, you're supposed to sit on the floor in a circle back to back because you are an octopus.
Okay.
That's kind of cool. That's literally that's it. So essentially, this is a cooperative game that consists of a bunch of people just shouting at each other. It's basically...
It sounds like Space Team.
It's like if Overcooked had... if Overcooked were controlled by yelling. instead of controller movements. It was my own personal nightmare. This is a cooperative game that each round is supposed to last 5 minutes. I rage quit after 1.
Oh no!
I rage quit a cooperative game. It was like literally.
So it went well for you, is what you're saying.
It went poorly. The judges took it, the good news is they did not know I was a judge, so I don't think it like really rocked. So because we didn't tell anyone that we were judging.
Oh.
That was super important. Judging was secret. Now, a group of 4 people coming up to them immediately upon the beginning of the show, insisting on playing their game as a group. Maybe they should have figured out that, I don't know. But now we will talk later, either today or on another episode, about the importance of how it's a good thing to know what is your game and what is not. I will say very specifically, Octochef, which I'm sure is objectively good for the right group and right family, is not a Steven Dutzman game. It actually got me so tilted that I had to take a break before I touched another game because I was so furious. Super cute though, because you're an octopus and you're sitting back to back. It's very funny, but it made me angry.
Okay, well, I mean, okay.
It was interesting.
Okay.
So
I know which games don't suit me either. So we should definitely talk about this on a future episode.
Yes. Because knowing that, like, everybody has that like voyage to like figure it out. We've all like had that moment. And
we'll definitely share that moment.
Yeah, this was like my first one because everybody knows I'm kind of a unstoppable hype machine, and this was the first time that I really was like, whoa. So those were the 3 nominees. There are only 3 nominees per category. So those were the 3 best family game nominees. I think part of the reason we gave it to Pinetop came down to polish also. Like, that game was basically done. And it was very good and very well designed. Everything else just needed some work. Or was, gave me a seizure. Now, for the most innovative games, now this is a little interesting. Talk about Mechanica, Linda, because you liked that one a little better than me. I liked it, but you liked it a bit more than me.
Yes. So the premise of Mechanica is that you are building robots. So think of like your Roomba.
Okay.
And you're basically trying. Yes. So visually, it's like a Roomba, and you're starting with a basic Roomba, and you're trying to upgrade your robots. And there's this cute little like twist to it that it's they have a cute phrase. On their card, they've got the revolution will be spotless, and it's so basically like the Roomba idea, but the tidy bots, as they're called, are preparing for a tidier world, and basically the premise is they're going to get upgraded to the point it might be problematic. So you're basically trying to upgrade these little robots. And the innovative part of the game is that the way you acquire pieces for your board so you can upgrade your robots and do all special things with these little robot guys is it's a disc that spins around, and you put basically puzzle pieces in. They're all puzzle shapes, so you fit them together to build your factory. And so you're going around, and there's a little hole in it, so if you don't buy these different upgrades, they fall into the void and are gone.
That sounds kind of really interesting.
It's super cute.
That sounds adorable. I think that would do well in this household.
Yeah, it would.
Yes. And it's, as you build your factory, you can connect different lines of it and upgrade the trucks. And there's a lot of pieces that you can work with to make things more interesting as you go.
That's super cool.
Yeah, this was super neat. And this one was on Kickstarter. It was funded. It's in production right now.
Great.
They're expecting a November delivery for Kickstarter fulfillment.
Fantastic.
And then they expect retail shortly thereafter. What I found really interesting about this is, so, you've got like the way you build your factory, like, so the pieces are spinning around on this wheel, which is just really neat production and looks cool, but like they're puzzle pieces that you literally have to fit onto your board, and they have to fit together in order to like upgrade your conveyor belts. And and it's a very specifically an engine building game. Like, you are building a factory, and it can get real weird. I loved it. I thought it was super cute. It was really dark though, like quietly. Like it had like because
the colors on it are like very light, but the theme, if you kind of delve beneath the surface a little, has some menacing undertones.
Yeah, because they want a robot in every home. They want a tidy bot in every home so they can.
Of course they do.
So,
didn't they make a movie about that and books and
yeah. I think there's been a few stories
Just
about
a few.
that.
There's even been video games.
Yeah.
I don't play those, so.
Yeah, it's fair. That's fair. You got me there.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna talk about Xaam now. Amanda.
Yeah, Xaam is something special.
So.
All right, I gotta buckle up.
All right.
So here's how Xaam works.
I'm buckled up now.
So on one end of the table is a beat machine, meaning a keyboard with like some beat pads. That is hooked up to a large table with 8 speakers underneath it.
Okay.
And above those 8 speakers is some foam core board, And then on top of that is a series of wooden and metal discs.
Okay.
And sparkly sand. The sparkly sand is just for visuals.
Okay.
And so the way this game, and I use game in air quotes, works is you have to push the buttons because each of the buttons corresponds with the speakers. And obviously, if you're playing music, quote unquote, you're vibrating different speakers. And the idea is to try and get there are 6 metal discs and a large number, I didn't even bother counting, of wooden discs. The idea is to vibrate the wooden discs to get them to touch the metal disc. Once they touch the metal disc, you take the metal disc out, and you're more or less like timed-ish to get all 6 metal discs away.
Okay. All right, I'm following.
And that's it.
Yep.
That is it. It's also loud. I didn't add the part that it's loud, but that's because
loud is fun.
It's got 8 speakers. They were booming speakers.
I bet.
So my concern is, and you and I, we're not. How you're fond of saying, Steve, we'll table that and have it as another discussion. The question that came up is whether or not it is a game. Like talking about what is a game. Amanda and I are laughing because Mike I don't even know what the heck that was. He just did
silly walks.
He just did some kind of dance to get behind her. So the whole like what is a game thing, like that came up. And I don't necessarily know that I know what is a game, but I know when something is not necessarily a game, and I don't think that is. But you know what it would be awesome as? Linda had this idea. Linda, what did you suggested to him what he should do?
I said it needed to be installed in a children's museum.
Yeah.
It was the perfect interactive exhibit for a children's museum in the current format.
More like art, definitely.
Yeah. It was a really neat idea, but we came to the conclusion as a judging team that it wasn't a game. It was super cool. It was different.
It just doesn't seem
there's
like
no
there
game.
there doesn't seem like there's an objective to fulfill.
Just clearing the discs. There wasn't even if you considered it cooperative, only one person could man the keyboard at a time. So, in the current format, there really wasn't a game.
And
it was more like a science exhibit.
And we asked him, so are you going to sell this? What are you trying to do here? And he's like, well, and this is why it's interesting that we're at Harvard and MIT, because he said, well, there have been some folks that have asked that before, and I've thought about ways to scale it down and make it more of a game experience, but I'm satisfied with it being kind of an art piece.
I can respect that.
I can. Definitely an art piece. until you give it to a 13-year-old, and he just jammed out to the point where I had to make him stop because he made some noises that should not be made. Because,
He was in... Well, dissonant chords are a thing, and loud dissonant chords are unpleasant.
Yes.
Yes.
I learned a lot about that.
Yes. The gentleman doing this has business card. I mean, literally, he gave his name, and he's listed as musician, engineer, technologist. So it's, music is definitely his first focus.
Yeah. It was cool. I just don't know. It's weird.
It was.
Yeah.
All right. So let's take it home on on the last nominee for innovation, which is Burned, which is a simultaneous dice rolling game based on Chopped.
Okay.
Linda, do you want to take this one or you want me to do it?
I can take this one if
All
you'd
right.
like.
You go ahead.
This was another one that they presented at CT-FIG as well. So,
Okay.
So with this one, they had around the center, there was a 2-minute timer.
Yep.
2-minute sand timer. And all around were a pile of different cards that had dice pictures. If you think of Roll For It, they kind of reminded me of that with like different dice combinations that you needed to match.
Okay.
Okay. So each player got, I think it was 6 dice. And so once the 2-minute timer starts, you are furiously rolling your individual dice to match some of the cards. And when you match the cards, you take that card, and then you have your own, I think they were 30-second timers, 10-second timers, something like that.
20 seconds.
Okay.
20-second timers. So there were 20-second sand timers you would put on top of your card. That's the cooking portion of the card. So you have to monitor these sand timers. And so if I notice somebody's sand timer has run out and they're ignoring it, I can knock over their sand timer, and it represents the dish being burned, and it's worth less points.
Oh, okay.
By
So
the
it's
way,
trying to imitate
I'm really bad at remembering to do that. Linda knocked over my crap like twice.
Steve, I'm not going to lie to you. Not surprised.
I mean, listen, want to know another game that was not super in my wheelhouse? Burned. But I totally see where it was going, and at least it wasn't cooperative, and it was not shouting, because everybody was kind of like focusing on their own stuff. My only criticism of that, literally my only criticism, is that the table that we were playing on is too small, and that was not a problem with the game.
Got it.
That was a problem with we were playing on like little teeny tiny desk. And I know you got to be close so you can like ninja chop your friends timers, but like, we didn't have to be that close.
No. And the hardest thing about the game I found is that before the 2-minute timer runs out, you're supposed to, like in Chopped, presentation is a thing. So you're supposed to stack all your cards, put the timers on top, put like all the components so it's nice and neat, and you get like 6 bonus points if you get everything neatly stacked before the 2-minute timer runs out. I did not accomplish that. That was hard.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
It's one of those things where
the concept just super
Go ahead.
No, it was a cool concept. It definitely would benefit from some art and some just a graphical design.
Yeah, which when they find a publisher is obviously going to get taken care of.
Yeah, for sure.
That
seems really interesting. I think I would enjoy that.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, I don't mind chaos. Like, I don't mind simultaneous play. Like, because my problem was my problem with, Octochef was like the shouting, like the simultaneous just yelling all over the place. Whereas Burned, yelling is not my yelling, like everyone yelling, not my thing while I'm trying to concentrate. But like Burned, like everyone was kind of intent and it was chaotic, but like we all had a job, right? Okay. And so I think it's one of those things that I did terrible at it because I played it all of once, twice. Like our turn, and it was 2 minutes because the rounds are 2 minutes. Like I played it like one time. I have a feeling this is one of those things that you will build skill at it because you learn, and so I'm terrible at games just in general, but I do get better at them the more that I play. Like I'm not helpless. I'm just bad.
Okay.
So that's burned. Yeah, they just need to find a publisher. So if you're a publisher listening, look up Burned, help them out, get them some art. I want to see some lettuce cards and some, maybe not tomatoes because those are gross, but like everything else. Let's just go with it. So
We're gonna have to have a conversation about tomatoes.
yeah, we can have lots of conversations about them. I think they're evil. Also keep in mind that I don't have a sense of smell, so everything tastes weird to me.
Oh, that's right. That's true.
And so let me tell you someday what a tomato tastes like when you can't smell it. 'Cause
I don't want to go
their
there.
texture is not great.
No.
I love it when you grind the crap out of them and cook them into sauce for me, though. I will do that. So those were the nominees. The award for most innovative, we gave it to Mechanica.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Ultimate-
Mechanica does sound pretty excellent.
Yeah. Oh man, Mechanica is good. I suspect that it would do very well in your house. One Mike Futter would absolutely dig.
You probably would actually, and the boys would really like it too.
Yeah, it's cool. So moving on to other games, I want to talk about Starport before we go too much farther. I actually posted some pictures of this on the Engage Family Gaming Instagram the other day, and so Amanda, you're gonna want to bring out your phone and go to the Engage Family Gaming Instagram. I think you can
I will do
that.
this. Yes.
So Starport is a tabletop role-playing game specifically designed for 5 and 6-year-olds. And it has this absolutely beautiful, like anime-ish art style. And the idea is, it's all, it's meant to be super fun and super casual. And
No.
they have cool, so...
That is heckin' pretty.
Isn't it pretty?
Oh my goodness.
And it's a cooperative storytelling game for 5 and 6-year-olds. So basically,
Great.
but they have maps and they have encounters and they have monsters. But everything is designed to be completely non-violent. Now,
Love
like
it.
there are rules for combat if you want to like throw gumdrops and stuff. Like it's meant to be like super silly, but everything can be quote unquote defeated by like being its friend or making sure that you tell it funny jokes or things like that. This was designed by a dad who loves role-playing games, who just wanted to present a cute, accessible, non-violent option for especially for younger kids. He's going to be sending us a PDF and we'll be talking about it.
That's great.
But let's be real. The book is only $20 on Amazon right now. So, like, I'm probably, because I hate reading tabletop role-playing game books on PDF, probably just going to buy the book. Because, also, he's a super nice guy.
I want to support that.
Yeah, exactly. We're probably going to have him on the show. So you'll be able to talk to him at some point in the coming months.
So,
because he was very excited about coming on podcast to help promote his thing. Like, this is definitely a passion project. Like, he's not expecting this to replace his full-time job. He just wanted to make a tool for him and his friends' kids. And it turns out that he also accidentally made a marketable product. And I told him, sure, it may not be your intention, but let's see if we can't get a few more people hype about it and buy your $20 book. And you just go to our Instagram and take a look at it. This thing is adorable.
Heckin' adorable. I love it.
And that's the whole theme throughout. Like, it's just everything is cute. Everything is cool. Ice cream monsters and... yeah. So that is Starport. That was tucked away in a tiny little corner of the show floor. And Amanda, you have lived that life where sometimes you just walk around a corner that you walked around by accident and found a game there, and it ended up being one of the coolest things you saw. Starport is my story there. Linda, you bumped into that guy too, right?
I don't think I ran into him. I think I missed that one.
Oh, you know what? You're right. Rob was the one who bumped into him. And he was also featured on the Family Gamers podcast this past week. So those of you that listen to us and them, just listen, and they'll have talked to him. I'll be interviewing him later on. So, what other games do you want to talk about, Linda?
So I really want to talk about Gemstones.
Yeah. Okay.
So
This
this
one's an
is
Amanda
in a
game.
super early prototype phase, but they got a ton of positive feedback, so I'm really hoping that we'll see them next year, much further along in development. So this is a roll and color game. So they wanted to meld the idea of the roll and write with the adult coloring books that have been so popular. So with that zen
I
of
own many of those.
yes. So right now they just had one picture, and you're rolling to determine how many facets of the gems you can color and of what color. And you're trying to just create the most color and fill in the picture as much as possible. And there is a point scoring to it. But the idea is that it is competitive, but it's chill competitive.
Okay.
So trying to, get that zen vibe. And
Okay.
I was
That sounds like Sagrada. Like, to me,
Yes.
Sagrada is incredibly zen in that capacity.
So
I
as I
agree.
was talking with the designer on this, I was watching 3 people playing, and it was like super calm, super quiet. Like they definitely were interacting and having a good time, but it definitely was exuding that chill vibe that he was going for. This is another one where he's so early on, he doesn't even have business cards for up his gaming. So I have his Yale School of Medicine business card. And like was writing on the back. He was so sweet. So he's somebody I want to reach out to and just kind of keep tabs on because I want to see where this goes.
It was I mean, we talked to a lot of the content creators that were there. There were lots of local, smaller content creators all over the place, and so everyone that I spoke to had nothing but praise for Gemstones. So this is one of those things. Like eventually he's going to go to Kickstarter. It's going to blow up because it's basically a coloring book with dice. So like,
Yeah.
like it's a coloring book with dice, which means it's also super marketable to a publisher because that means all they want to make an expansion. It's literally printing a coloring book or publishing PDFs on their website. Like, I wish I was a publisher. I would publish it now. Because this just prints money, almost literally. Also, it was really cool. So that's Gemstone.
That sounds awesome.
It did not make it into. It would have won most innovative, if it was there, hands down. As far as I'm concerned, because it is so cool. It did not. It was not finished in time for the showcase. So that's why it wasn't eligible for judging. But next year, it's just going to clean up CTFIG, BFIG. You might even see it up at Play NYC, one of your things. Or down. Is that down? It's down at Play NYC.
No, it's north.
Okay, so out.
So,
out.
It's out. Yeah.
I'll get my prepositions right one day. So
don't worry about it. I'm still trying to find my way around New Jersey these days.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's fine. The smell kind of masks figuring out where to go. I say that and it's funny because I don't have a sense of smell, so I don't really know. Anyway, I'll tell you a funny story about me making fun of New Jersey and a job interview one time. That'll make you that'll give you a good chuckle. So I want to talk about Dungeon Drop very briefly. Now, we've talked about Dungeon Drop a lot on this podcast. But we have some very special news, which, by the way, Linda, I know you're making a face. That is not breaking embargo. They actually officially announced it.
Just making sure we don't get our hands slapped.
No, I get it. So Dungeon Drop, not only was it a wildly successful Kickstarter that made many, many thousands of dollars, it found a publisher with distribution rights in the United States, and that is Gamewright.
Well, isn't that interesting?
Which is really cool for both parties involved. It's really cool because I know both of them. It was the way it worked, Amanda, is Nora, the PR person, Nora from Gamewright, just assumed that I knew.
Oh.
So she just threw it out there, and I was like, "What?" And then she was like, "Oh, I don't think we're talking about that yet." So what's the word? for you can't talk about it yet. And I'm like, are you telling me that is embargoed information? And she's like, yeah, that. And I'm like, okay, I just won't tell anyone because like I'm not really a journalist, so it's fine.
Content creator.
Yeah, right. I'm a content creator. So, but it was so cool being like finding that information out. I'm so excited for all them. So, here's the real deal. They were going to be selling 1 billion dungeon drops everywhere, but now you'll find it in Target. How wild is that?
Good for them.
Right?
Publishing. Love it.
And they're going to be in friggin' Target and Barnes and Noble.
That's
and I
great.
think
Both are good distribution chains.
Yeah, man, right? As long as Barnes and Noble like stays around. Please stay around, Barnes and Noble.
I mean, they were the OG big box store that sold relatively niche tabletop games. So
it appears that they might survive. Right?
Another year.
They might
it
survive.
looks like they're gonna.
Maybe.
So
They keep diversifying.
listen,
Yeah.
you know what? Good. I like it.
Yeah.
So any other board games that you wanted to mention? Man, there were a couple that I didn't even know. Like there were some that were nominated for awards and won awards that I didn't know were there.
Oh.
There was literally the last one I played as they were trying to kick people out, won an award. So I timed that well. So that was it's another one that's in a earlier stage of prototype. It's called Ruthless Old Men, and it is a mine themed game. So like prospector mining, that kind of thing. So it was super cute. If you've heard of the game Mission to Planet Hex, the gentleman that designed that was also working on the team with this. Their publishing group is Move Rate 20 Games. So James and Rob were the two gentlemen that were demoing that. And it was absolutely a blast. Basically, it's a tile laying game. You're trying to build a path out from the mine to your exit. And there's every tile you pull out, it's a double-sided tile. Most of the tiles have an action on the back.
Okay.
And they're really straightforward actions. There was a little cheat sheet, but it was very intuitive, easy to follow, easy directions. A couple are double-sided, and you're just trying to build your path out. And you can thwart each other and turn tiles and all kinds of nonsense. And it was just hilarious. And I was terrible at it, but just had so much fun. They'd had the dead canary card and everything with the mine reference. So
That's great.
Yeah, it was really fun. That's one I would be looking for in another year or two to see where that goes. And they won the best game in progress.
Yep.
So, and that was well deserved. So for an earlier, and they said it was the debut of their game. That was the first time they had brought it out to an event to demo.
Wow, really?
Yep.
Yeah. When you win best in progress game and it's your first time showing it, I think that's a vote of confidence. With that said, I mean, it's coming from a company that has some successes under their belt. So it's not a surprise, like out of nowhere thing. But yeah, I'm excited to see that game next year when it's a little bit more developed. The cool thing about BFIG is you're not like, you are limited. You're very loosely limited in how many times you can be in the showcase. So like they should be able to come in again, assuming they make real progress, and that's going to be pretty rad. Yeah. So that was. I mean, there were so many games that I didn't even know were there, just because I wasn't used to the layout, and so they kept winning awards, and I was like, what? So like, what was that game where they said that it was based on Final Fantasy and Suikoden, and I was like, excuse me, how dare you? How dare? How do you have this game and not tell me about it?
How dare?
I beg your pardon.
Deeply how dare.
I looked over at Rob from a pawn's perspective, and I was like, did you play that? And he's like, no, I didn't know it was there. I have no idea what they're even talking about. This is a lie. And I'm like, I feel deeply offended that someone was going to make a Suikoden / Final Fantasy board game and not at least like
talk to you about it.
not at least like throw something at me, right?
Like, what's even going on with that?
So there we go. That was BFIG. It was a kind of a mixed bag this year. I think there's a lot of stuff to be excited about, like a handful of games that are just really, really have me stoked. And then, there were some some things
Some
we'll
others
talk
that we learned.
some other lessons, some things we'll talk about on our,
Can I-
Oh, go ahead, Linda.
I have one hype. I'm going to throw out one hype thing. It's going to take like 2 seconds.
Go ahead.
Fire Tower's coming out with an expansion.
Oh, yes. I didn't know. I knew that, but was it playable there?
I don't know. They were super busy, and I basically ran over and said, "Yay, you guys have more stuff. How are you doing?" And like ran away. So I don't even know if anything was playable. I just saw the sign and got really excited.
Have you ever played Fire Tower, Amanda?
I have not played Fire Tower, but I'm familiar with it.
Yeah. The one thing that I will really do appreciate is their hustle, because now when they go to booth, because number one, I always respect the hustle.
Always.
So not only are they nonstop demoing their game, because like you can barely give them a high five because they're full on demoing nonstop. They sell out everywhere they go. But now for those people that just want a little bit of extra, they have started hand making stone, like miniature stone fire pits, so that you can take all the fire gems, instead of putting them in like a popcorn bowl or whatever, you can put it in these handmade polished stone fire pits that look so cool. If you happen to be one of those folks that has a TikTok, I made a TikTok video of it. So if you want to look at our TikTok account, yes, I have one of those, because why not? I made a video of what one looks like, and I may or may not have set the video to Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash. Because guess what?
Of course.
You can do whatever you want in there. Listen, at least my stuff is family appropriate. Not unlike much of the other content in there. So if you want to see what a fire pit looks like, it's fine. So yeah, that was BFIG.
Cool. It sounds like you guys saw a litany of great games and one game that maybe pushed a few 8 buttons.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm not necessarily... Yeah, definitely pushed 8 buttons. Also, I'm not convinced it's bad. I want to make it very clear.
No, I'm sure it's just that kind of a game for, like, it's just like with me. I don't like social deception games, like, at all. That's my big edge. Doesn't mean they're bad games. It just means they're not for me.
Correct. So, and I think we stumbled upon our topic for next board game episode.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
So, with that said, this has been episode 197 of the Engaged Family Gaming Podcast. I have to start saying the title correctly. Eventually I'll do it right. So I hope you guys enjoyed listening as much as the three of us enjoyed recording. It was my first time with both Linda and Amanda in my ears at the same time, which was very cool for me, because they're two people that I love very much. And so I have a favor for our fans. I want to say not my fans, they're our fans. Here's the favor. We're getting very close to episode 200, and I would love for episode 200 to be a very, very big show. The best way to do that is for you to share this podcast with your friends. Bunch of different ways to do that. I'm sure you can think of a few. One option that I haven't suggested before is you can just encourage them to like us on Facebook, because we do share all of our content on our Facebook page. So the best place to do that, go to engagefamilygaming.com/Facebook or facebook.com/engagefamilygaming, because we're fancy. Either of those will work. You can also join our community at engagefamilygaming.com/community. We'd love to have you there. We talk about our content all over the place. If you're really crazy, we have a Discord. It's engagefamilygaming.com/Discord. You hop in there. The Engaged Family Gaming superfan Miranda is our moderator there, and she does a wonderful job. So yeah, you folks have a wonderful week. We will be back next week to talk about video games, where Amanda and I will probably talk about Apple Arcade a little bit, because it's kind of a big deal.
It's coming out in 2 days.
So we'll have plenty to talk about.
I've written a lot about it.
Yes, you have. You're a definitive expert. And probably a little bit of Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get time to do that, but you know what? I'm gonna try.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Cool. So until next time, folks, you have a great week, and don't forget to get your family game on. See you soon. Bye.
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 We did it.
We did.
podcast. Thank you for listening. Tune in next